Alright guys, Corey Margera here, and in this episode I want to do a top 10 underrated slash short-lived gimmicks in wrestling. Now keep in mind this is going to be everything from the Monday Night Wars era up until now. Not everything, but just my top 10 of everything from the Monday Night Wars era up until, now. During the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, WCW. I'm going to be talking about that. And, I'm not going to be talking about anything prior to the Monday Night Wars era because I don't give a shit about a lot of the gimmicks from the New Generation era or WCW back then, So basically, this is going to be a top 10 countdown from, more modern times, everything from Monday Night Wars era up until now. And, these are just some gimmicks that I felt were highly underrated, or, some of them did get over, but they were very short lived. And, I'm just going to be talking about them in this video. So, yeah. Sit back, get some fucking pizza, popcorn, a can of pop, soda, and enjoy. These are going to be my top 10 underrated wrestling gimmicks slash short-lived wrestling gimmicks. So enjoy. All right, and I want to start off the countdown with something that was just very obvious. This guy, I was just a huge fan of, and I thought that he was very underrated during that time, especially. He was getting a lot of controversy, a lot of great heel heat, but his gimmick was very short-lived, and I think a lot of you know who this is. Yep, Muhammad Hassan. Now, I was just inspired to make this video in the first place thanks to Wrestling with Regret, a channel I think you all should subscribe to if you're wrestling fans. But, I was just a huge mark for this guy when he came out. Not because I believe in the Muslim religion or Nation of Islam or any of that or terrorism or anything like that, but because he is right. He is right. And, his character made a lot of good points, and it called out America for the racists that they are. After 9/11, any Arab was looked at as a terrorist. And, I hate terrorism. Fuck terrorism. Fuck all these crazy retarded ass Muslims and Arabs and people like that who do want to do these stupid terrorist attacks. But there are people of, Arab descent who are not terrorists. And, who just wanted to live a normal life, and they don't want to be, persecuted just because of their fucking race, and I just, I can relate to that because, as a black guy, when I see stupid ass dumb black people, hood rats, thugs and stuff, and all these stupid ass black people that do dumb shit, or like even uppity black people who like to brag and be cocky and stuff like that. Yeah, I was just like, oh my god, man, I can't believe I have to be compared to these fucking faggots. But, I could definitely see where, his character was coming from. Even though he wasn't a fucking Muslim at all, he wasn't Arab at all, he was actually Italian, and he had a fucking spray-on tan. But I love this gimmick just because it was just so controversial. And it just really put America in its place. America. Oh my god, there were so many people who booed this motherfucker. And I loved him. He was a great heel. He knew how to generate great heel heat. I just thought he was awesome. Davari, he was just so funny. He was like, oh, I didn't know what the fuck he was saying, but he was just funny as shit. Muhammad Hassan, one of the most underrated gimmicks ever in wrestling. Very underrated, very short-lived. Well, it wasn't underrated because it was getting a lot of controversy at the time. And, in a post 9/11 society, this was just real good heel heat. This was just a great gimmick to have. It wasn't like, the previous gimmicks, where, you had the evil foreigners trying to take over America. Like, this gimmick actually had a much better backstory of a guy who, like, ever since 9/11, he had to deal with racism and stuff like that. I mean, it was just, I thought it was very short-lived. I thought it was very underrated, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. So Muhammad Hassan, he's number 10 on the countdown. That debate where he was just, like, fighting Jerry Lawler and, debating Jim Ross and stuff, and it was just good stuff, man. And I was so pissed when I found out why he got fired. Just because he had a group of guys who were masked and they were attacking the Undertaker and stuff like that. That could have made a great feud too. It's like that could have made a great fucking feud. That would have been a great feud too. And all this bullshit had to happen, man. It was like seriously, man. Fuck politically correctness. Fuck being politically correct, man. Seriously. It's just god damn, man. Seriously. But yeah, he's number 10 on the list. And let's get back. Let's go to number 9 on the list. I want to talk about Sean O'Hare. Yes, the devil's advocate gimmick. This was so short-lived. This should have lasted a lot longer than it did. Sean O'Hare in general back then was just such an underrated talent. I mean, he had the look. He just looked like a fucking badass. He was very agile. He was very athletic. He was just very, the way he did all those flips, he blended in his martial arts background. The way he did the swanton. I thought he actually did a swanton, a senton bomb just as good as Jeff Hardy, if not better. And this guy was just so underrated. And the devil's advocate gimmick could have definitely worked. I mean, he was just saying a whole bunch of cool shit. Why the fuck should we have to pay taxes? Why the fuck should we have to do this and that? Like, we should be able to do what we want. I love that gimmick. I thought that gimmick was fucking awesome. He was even teaming up with Roddy Piper back then for a little bit. And I just felt Sean O'Hare, he deserved much better in the wrestling business. I don't agree with what he did in his personal life, beating up women and stuff, but as far as a character and as far as a wrestler is concerned, he was awesome. Bar none. He was definitely underrated. Very short-lived gimmick. The Devil's Advocate gimmick on SmackDown back in 2003 was actually like one of the better gimmicks, of that overrated fucking show back then. But, that's just my opinion. I thought Sean O'Hare deserved much better. That gimmick was awesome. Devil's Advocate gimmick was fucking awesome as shit. And yeah, that's basically. Alright. Number 8. Kerwin White. Now, I loved this gimmick because I can relate to it so much. Not so much wanting to be a middle-class white guy, but just being, like, growing up around here and just being so disgusted with your own race of people and how stupid they act. I can relate to this gimmick on so many levels. Kerwin White, alright, for those of you who don't know, who didn't watch WWE back in 2005, Kerwin White was basically the Latino version of Uncle Ruckus. He was basically the Latino version of Uncle Ruckus. And I thought this gimmick was so underrated and so short-lived. This gimmick should have made a lot of money. This gimmick was awesome. This gimmick was just, like, even if he was, like, because Chavo's not a main eventer. But still, this it just goes back to what Vince Russo was saying back when he was doing, like, his rants. Like, he believed in making the entire card meaningful. And even if Kerwin White would have been stuck in mid-card hell, his gimmick, his just cocky, arrogant, I'm better than you, fuck the Hispanics, all these ghetto Latinos and shit. That was just great stuff. That was great stuff. He was basically the Latino version of Uncle Ruckus. And it was awesome. I enjoyed it. I wish there would have been like a stable with all like certain black and Latino wrestlers would band together and be like, fuck all you stereotypical ghetto Negroes and ghetto Boricuas out there and shit like that. I would have marked out like a motherfucker had they done something like that. I would have marked out like a motherfucker. That would have been awesome. But Kerwin White, this gimmick was just so short-lived. He was doing all kinds of great promos. And 2005 was a year that, WWE could have went back on top. Had they stuck to their controversial guns. Like, they had ECW One Night Stand. They had gimmicks like Kerwin White. They had gimmicks like fucking Muhammad Hassan. It was like, you could have easily made a huge comeback that year, but yet you wanted to bow down to all these politically correct social justice warrior faggots out there and now you're fucking PG. So yeah, go figure. But this gimmick was awesome. I loved Kerwin White's gimmick. That was awesome. He was coming out with the golf carts and shit, and he was just like just snapping his fingers to that cheesy little Frank Sinatra theme song of his. That was just good stuff. I was entertained by that. I think I was entertained. I was so pissed off when he dropped this gimmick just because Eddie Guerrero died. I really thought, and no disrespect to Guerrero, but I really thought that, Kerwin White should have gotten some heat, even if it would have sounded a bit disgusting and just said, you know what, Eddie's dead, but you know what, he could have made like some controversial promo, and you guys would probably think this is tasteless, but I don't care. But, I don't care. I don't care if you find this tasteless. It would have been better for the character, He would have been like, you know what? Eddie's dead, but you know what? The hell with Eddie. He was an idiot who lied, cheated, and stole, and he got what he deserved. Now he's dead or something like that. Like, I know a lot of people are gonna hate that. But I don't care. He should have continued with this gimmick even after Eddie died. He should have just said something controversial that would have got him a lot of heel heat, and just went with it. That's my opinion. I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't care. I love this gimmick. And it was awesome. All right, number fucking. We're at number. Yeah, this is number 8. So number 7 is. Oh yeah. Edge, the Edge and Lita, particularly. Now I know what some of you are gonna say. Edge still kept the Rated R Superstar gimmick, all the way up until the end of his career back in 2011, and I would love to debate with people on that because there was nothing Rated R about Edge after 2006. Okay, there was nothing Rated R about Edge after Lita left him. Okay, I'm talking about not just the Rated R Superstar gimmick, but Edge and Lita as a couple were just short-lived. Like, they were really short-lived. I felt like when... Okay, let me give you a little history. I was never a mark for Edge. I was never a fan of Edge. I never cared about Edge and Christian. I thought they were a very overrated tag team back then in the Attitude Era. I didn't care about Edge during the earlier parts of the Ruthless Aggression era, even though it was funny seeing him shave Kurt Angle bald and make jokes at Kurt Angle. I thought that was cool. But other than that, I never cared about Edge like that. This was like the first time I started marking out for Edge was when he got with Lita. All right, and that was just a great storyline in itself when Lita betrayed Matt Hardy, in real life, not just wrestling storyline wise, not just kayfabe, but just in real life. Lita fucked Matt Hardy over and went with Edge, and I thought they took real life heat and made it interesting television storyline. I don't care what anyone says. I thought that was good television. I thought it was great. I love when people take real life situations and put them into a wrestling show. That makes it more interesting. What's the biggest complaint that you get from wrestling fans and people who are wrestling critics? It's too fake. It's too soap opera. It's too fucking fake. It's not real. Well, now you have a fucking real life storyline in wrestling, and you're still fucking complaining. It's like, seriously, shut the fuck up. You fucking faggots. This was awesome. I loved seeing, and not just Edge as a Rated R Superstar, no, because, yeah, he did continue his Rated R Superstar run after this, but when he was with Lita, that entire time, from 2005 to 2006, that was I was a huge mark for Edge at that point. He had a real cool Hot Topic look. His wardrobe was better, too. He used to wear like the coolest clothes during that period. Like, once he got with Vicky Guerrero back in like 2007 or 8 or whatever, it was just like, Edge is just boring now. It's just like, who gives a shit? Fuck Edge. He's like boring as shit. I did not care for Edge after that. When he was with Lita, he was having sex on Raw. They were having sex on Raw. He was wearing all these cool clothes. They had a real rock star look to them. They had a real cool Hot Topic look to them that you didn't really see a lot of wrestlers have at the time. It was like, wow, they're like the Hot Topic couple. They're like, literally, this is like such a cool couple right here. They're like such cool heels. They look cool, they dress cool, they do cool shit. It's like, how can you even want to boo? And they're like, it's like what the NWO was. It was like cool to cheer for them, even though they were bad guys. It was, that's how Edge and Lita were. And I felt like even if they broke up in real life, they should have kept their relationship on screen. I felt like that was definitely a missed opportunity there. The Edge and Lita thing was very short lived. It only lasted from 2005, late 2005 to 2006. I felt like it should have lasted a lot longer than that, because once Edge got with Vicky Guerrero and he started just being by himself, and he had those Ryder and Hawkins, or those idiots, I did not care for Edge after that. I did not care. I did not give a shit. It was like, this was Edge at his best. This was Lita in a new light too, because she wasn't a heel. She hadn't been a heel since 2000. With S.A. Rios, she hadn't been a heel since then. So, now she's a heel. We see her in a fucking, a less caring light. She's darker. She's just, I don't give a fuck. She's not, it's like, it's just good. It's good television. It's good. It's really fucking cool. And it helped her character too. And had it not been for these fucking loser marks who need to fucking mind their own business, saying like, oh, you screwed Matt, and then that scared her off for the fucking storyline. I really, like, seriously, fuck wrestling fans. They are the biggest faggots on the planet, I swear. And I'm not talking about wrestling fans like myself and stuff like that, who know what the fuck we're talking about, who know the business. No, I'm talking about these dumb shits who, like, are fucking mark virgins. Seriously, like, Edge and Lita as a couple on screen was, like, awesome. I was a huge mark for both of them. I especially love when he screwed John Cena out of the title. It was a lot of great stuff came out of this. They were a great couple on TV. They were better than Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, in my opinion. They were just, I mean, even though I do think Triple H was a better heel because he knew how to get you to hate him more, and Stephanie knew how to get you to hate her more. But, it was just, these were like the types of the cool heels that you want to cheer for, even though they're bad guys. It was so cool. It was real cool. They had that Hot Topic Spencer's look to them. It was real rock star-ish. It was real fucking cool. Back when Edge used to wear those cool shirts, the sex and violence and shit. That was good shit. That was real fucking good shit. And yeah, that's number 7 on the countdown. Okay, number 6, Vampiro. Oh my god. This character was so underrated in WCW. Now, yes, he was a big deal in Mexico, but he should have been an even bigger deal in American mainstream wrestling. This character was fucking awesome. Alright? And they fucked him up by teaming him with that shitty, overrated Insane Clown Posse. That piece of shit Insane Clown Posse. WCW 2000 really ruined Vampiro's chances of really becoming a breakout star. And he had a great look to him. He had a cool, creepy, dark look to him. I felt like his feud with Sting at Bash of the Beach 2000 was very underrated, even though it was fake when he set him on fire and stuff like that. I really felt like they could have made some good money. Like, Sting versus Vampiro could have been a much better feud than what it was. It was a decent feud up until Bash at the Beach. But Vampiro in himself, he's just an underrated wrestler, a very underrated character. And he's actually not that bad on the mic, too. He's very underrated. I really felt like, I was pissed, too, because I heard that video interview with Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio. Jericho was saying that Stephanie McMahon was thinking about hiring Vampiro, signing him to the WWF. And I was like, and then Chris Jericho kind of like, he was saying like, oh, you should get Rey Mysterio instead. And I was like, fuck you, Chris Jericho, you asshole. I would much rather have fucking Vampiro than Rey Mysterio any day of the week. Rey Mysterio is like, seriously, it's like, yeah, he's a good high flyer, he's a good cruiserweight, but he has nothing else. Okay, he has no mic skills, he's not entertaining. All he is another luchador. And, I've watched luchador for years. I've watched cruiserweight wrestling, and I've watched all types of wrestling. I don't give a shit about that shit anymore. Okay? All these flips and stuff. That's why I can't. I don't even give a shit about Lucha Underground like that. It's like, it's okay, but I want more out of my fucking wrestling. Period. I want to see more than just a fucking flips and kicks and all that shit. So I definitely felt like Vampiro was the better choice. He could have had some good feuds with like Kane. You know, at the time, maybe even The Undertaker. But The Undertaker was doing the American Badass thing at the time. So, but I definitely felt like a Vampiro Kane, a Vampiro Jeff Hardy feud could have been good. It could have been fucking gold. That could have been some good. Hell, even Vampiro Chris Jericho, just because of their real life heat alone, could have made a great fucking feud. But yeah, that's number 7 on the list. Vampiro is fucking underrated as shit. He deserved a lot better out of this business. And fuck you, Paul Heyman, too. Like, literally, he even got fucked over by Paul Heyman. Vampiro was trying to get into ECW, and Paul Heyman didn't even, like, contact him back or anything. And I love and respect Paul Heyman, but fuck you. Like, Vampiro is the shit. Okay? You didn't have to bring in the Insane Clown Posse. Fuck them. Just bring in Vampiro. But, yeah, that's my opinion on that. Yeah. So basically, I also, number 6 on the countdown is going to be a very underrated character that I thought could have been big in this business, and that is Relic. Well, not big, but he could have been a great mid-carder. I enjoyed his feud with Abyss and TNA back in 2007. I thought he was much better than Black Rain. Fuck Black Rain. Fuck Goldust. But and the funny thing about this is, I was never a fan of Johnny the Bull Stamboli. I was never a fan of him. I was never a fan of that wrestler. I never gave a shit about his stereotypical Italian gimmick. But, you know, I loved Relic for that short period of time. I thought his mask was cool. I thought he had a cool look to him. You know, he was having a feud with Abyss at the time. I thought he was very, very underrated. I felt like this character could have been a lot more in the business. He just had a cool look to him. He could have been much better. Like, had they put him in more storylines and stuff, Relic could have been a much bigger character. They needed to book him as a monster. You know, him feuding with Abyss was great, but they needed to book him as a fucking monster. This motherfucker looks like a monster. They should have, but he looks fucking cool. That mask is so fucking cool. That mask, literally, I mark out just for that mask alone. That mask is so fucking cool. You know, I mean, he just looks like a warrior. He looks like a fucking warrior. He looks like someone who would beat the shit out of you and fucking kill you. You know, it's just, like, this was a great gimmick right here. This is, again, I don't give a shit about Johnny the Bull Stamboli. Relic was fucking awesome in TNA. You know, I wanted to see more of this character. And that's just my opinion. That's number 6. And number 5 is going to be fucking Judas Messias. Another underrated TNA character. I don't know who was behind him, whether it was Russo or fucking Dutch Mantel or whoever. This was an awesome character. A very awesome character. I was a huge mark for Judas Messias. I was like, for that short period of time, I thought Judas Messias was the shit. I thought he was fucking awesome. He had the look. You know, he had a cool wardrobe. He had a cool gimmick. I was like, how the fuck did TNA drop the ball on Judas Messias? Like, he had a great feud with Abyss. You know, James Mitchell, another underrated manager in the business. You know, he was just great. He was fucking awesome. He was sick. The way he flipped his fucking eyes and the blood that came out of his mouth. I thought this motherfucker was awesome. Like, literally, this motherfucker deserved a hell of a lot better in the wrestling business. I felt like he deserved a hell of a lot better. You know, this was a great character. You know, you had that dark, gothic, sick, ritual look to him. I thought it was awesome. I personally thought it was awesome. I wanted to see more of this character, and you know, I really wish TNA would bring this character back, or WWE should hire. Well, WWE's not gonna hire the PG, but I don't give a fuck. But you know, this character was awesome, very underrated and very short-lived. I don't care what anyone says. Judas Messias was fucking awesome. That barbed wire massacre with him versus Abyss was fucking awesome. And you know, I was a huge mark for him. Period. I was a very huge fucking mark for him. That's my opinion. All right. Next, we have Mordecai. Now, Mordecai was fucking so short-lived. This gimmick was awesome, and I prefer this gimmick over fucking Kevin Thorne. Alright? I didn't give a shit about Kevin Thorne on ECW, even though I thought Ariel was hot, but, I thought she was cute. But, this gimmick was way better. This gimmick was way fucking better. Like, way, way fucking better. Like, serious. This gimmick was the shit. Like, this gimmick could have been huge, too. Like, seriously. Like, freaking... The Mordecai gimmick, like, he was basically, like... he had that cool ritual thing going to him, too. He was, like, the Day of Reckoning, and... It was a cool gimmick. He could have had a great feud with The Undertaker at the time, back in 2004. Like, I felt like they dropped the ball on Mordecai, the entire character, like, completely. And for those of you who are saying, like, oh, gimmicks like this don't get over anymore because the fans know, and that's the fucking problem. The fans need to realize that this shit is entertainment. This is not, oh my god, we need more vanilla midgets. We need more bland, boring-ass fucking wrestlers. No, I want fucking good characters. I want fucking Mordecai. I wanted Judas Messias. I want characters that are fucking good. I want relics. I want fucking, Sean O'Hare's and stuff. I want good shit. And Mordecai was very underrated. Very, very underrated. This character, for everything, like he looks cool. He looks fucking like a badass character. Felt like he was very underrated. And that's all I'm going to say. And the fact that he jobbed to Rey Mysterio on SmackDown, and that, I just remember watching him job to Rey Mysterio on SmackDown back when I was in high school, and I was just like, wow, they dropped the ball big time. They dropped the fucking ball big time. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, next on this list is a female, actually. Daphne. Now, whenever I hear people talking about their favorite knockouts, their favorite divas, their favorite women's wrestlers, I never hear this chick talked about. Oh my god. And for it, rightfully so, unfortunately, because she never got a fucking chance to really get over. And she was awesome in TNA. And she was fucking awesome in WCW. I'm talking about Daphne. Okay? How the fuck did Daphne... She is so underrated. She is one of the most underrated chicks in the business. Period. And she's, in my opinion, she's way better than Paige. I wanted to see, back then, I wanted to see Daphne versus Lita. I really wanted to see a Daphne versus Lita feud. I felt like that feud could have been excellent. Both, like a Daphne versus Tara feud, or a Daphne versus Lita feud. Like if Lita would have came to TNA or something like that and used her real name like Amy Dumas or something. I felt like that could have been a fucking great feud. I mean, everyone talks about Chyna, Trish Stratus, Sable, Lita. Well, I'm a huge fan of Lita, but still, it's like no one talks about Daphne. No one, like, literally, she's so fucking underrated. And she knows how to take a fucking bump. She fucking went through thumbtacks. She was awesome. She was like one of the coolest goth chick gimmicks I've ever seen in wrestling. This was so misused. Like, fuck Dixie Carter and fuck TNA for screwing this up. Fuck you. You fucked this up so much. This had so much potential. Daphne was fucking awesome. Fuck you, TNA. Fuck you. Seriously. I mean, and that's all I'm going to say. Daphne was fucking awesome. It's just amazing how, she gets, like, so underlooked. Alright? And last but not least, on our countdown, let's see, we went through... Fuck, I don't remember the countdown. I haven't even wrote notes or anything. I've just been fucking shooting. But last on this countdown is CM Punk's pipe bomb gimmick. Yes, this is number one on the list because this gimmick could have been so much It could have lasted a lot longer. Ever since 2011, when he cut that epic promo on John Cena, and he called him out, and his mic shut off. Like, he was doing pipe bombs every week. He was talking about Vince McMahon. He called out Vince McMahon. He called out John Cena. He called out Triple H. He called out everybody. John Laurinaitis. And all of a sudden, right when he gets buried by Triple H, thanks to Kevin Nash, alright, his pipe bomb gimmick just stops. Like, he just goes to being another normal, boring face. Like, they literally... Like, they watered Punk so much down after that. Like, he had a feud with Alberto Del Rio and blah, blah, blah. You know, but it was just like, seriously. Like, CM Punk, his pipe bomb gimmick was just amazing. That was just amazing. That could have brought in a new boom period in wrestling. And that gimmick was so short-lived. He was basically... That was the best gimmick he had. And then all of a sudden, they start watering him down when he had his feud with Jericho at WrestleMania fucking 28. And you know, it was just like, he went from being like the summer of Punk to just being watered down after he got buried by Triple H. Like, he should have still cut pipe bomb promos on everybody. He shouldn't have just... the way they booked him, it was like he almost gave up on trying to get rid of Triple H as COO. Like, his mission originally was to get rid of Triple H as COO. And then they just cut that shit away. And then they turn him heel when he feuds with The Rock. It's just like so pointless. It's just like so fucking pointless. And while I disagree with Phil on The Rock, I do think that The Rock is bigger than the wrestling business in general. But at the same time, you know, he's entitled to have his opinion. And on top of that, it's good to have a motherfucker who doesn't believe that The Rock is this great and shit. Like, it's good to have someone like that who's like rebellious and who wants to cut pipe bomb promos and talk shit and, you know, expose the business. It's good to have a wrestler like that, because we live in an era where people know wrestling is fake. Everyone knows wrestling is fake. So why the fuck are you trying so hard to keep kayfabe, you know, when it's like the business has been exposed? It's like, we need more controversy in wrestling. We need more pipe bombs. We need more shoot-style promos. We need more shit. We need more shit that's good, that's going to grab our attention. Alright? The wrestling business is not that good right now, and it hasn't been for years. So when you get a guy like CM Punk, and he's calling shit out, and he's making the product interesting again, and he's bringing up a lot of valid points, you shouldn't fucking stop him. You should be glorifying him and making him the face of the company. If not the face of the company, just make him something. You know, like, literally, that pipe bomb gimmick was just awesome. And once they took that away from him in 2012, 2013, his character just got so fucking stale and watered down. Even when he was with Paul Heyman, it was just like, who cares? He's with Paul Heyman. It's like, that's not going to make his shit better. That's not going to make this must-see TV. I mean, Paul Heyman has managed so many fucking wrestlers. And look at how many, like, literally. That hasn't made... I mean, look at Curtis Axel. Look at the Invasion storyline. When he was the manager for the Alliance, you know, there was a lot of people that thought that storyline sucked. When he was the manager of Curtis Axel and all these other fuckers, Antonio Cesaro, it was like, that didn't rub them off. That didn't rub them in the right direction. It didn't make it must-see TV. It's like, oh, Paul Heyman has him as a manager. That's cool, but it's like, okay, what next? Like, seriously, what next? Where's the next pipe bomb? Where's the next shoot-style promo? When is CM Punk going to kick someone's ass? When are we going to see something, like, really good, like we were seeing in the Summer of Punk? You know, and I felt like the pipe bomb gimmick, the Summer of Punk gimmick, that was just short-lived as fuck. And it was getting over real fast. He was outselling Cena in merch, and I felt like this gimmick should have lasted a hell of a lot longer. It should have lasted a hell of a lot longer. And that's just my opinion. And on that note, I am done with this video. Later.